Okay, guys, it is Tuesday. Um, Had a nice long weekend. Going to go ahead and get and move on into writing some expressions. Again, we'll probably spend a couple days on this because this can get difficult as well. So we're probably looking at a test later this week or early the following week. We'll see how things go. Okay. All right. So first up, we're just going to review the different ways mathematical operations can be written verbally. And we're going to write as many synonyms, the same, as you think of in the column. So if we were in class, we would do this together. Right now, I'm just going to list, and I've got a bunch, but I'm not going to list them all right? But just to get the idea. So what are some words that tell us to add, right? Well, one would be sum. Sum is the answer to an addition problem. How about total? In all. All right, those are just telling us to add. Combine, right? Gain, that might be one. And if you have some other ones, you can write them down. The last one I'm going to put is increase by. Okay, and my B doesn't look very good there, does it? Increase by. So this is just a start. Certainly not all of them. Draw a little line here. Let you get caught up there a little bit. The addition probably has the most. We could add total altogether, greater than. We could just add a lot, all right? But that's enough for now. Subtraction. Well, the one I always start with is difference, right? ERENCE. That's the answer to a subtraction problem. How about loss or lose, right? How about decrease, right? Decrease tells us to subtract. Not as many as here. The last one I'm thinking of is fewer. Fewer, right? These just are synonyms telling us to do that operation. Now, multiplication, again, I'm going to start with the answer to a multiplication is called the product, product. All right, that's the product. Um, Times, we could double. Double something, we multiply it by 2. All right, so um, anything else here? I guess you could put twice down. That might be one. And if you have some more, go ahead. Division. Again, let's start with the answer. Quotient. 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 How about split? We can split something in two. Or how about half? Half. Uh-huh. And I just thought of another one over here that I wanted to put of. Of tells us to multiply, right? Okay. And then finally, we need to have some words that tell us when to write an equal sign. So is means equals and same as. And I'll give you a second to get caught up there. So we have these different pieces, and I'll draw lines there so you can see them. Just some verbal words to tell us, some verbal uh, pieces to tell us what we're doing and what operation. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take sentences and we're going to write them into expressions. Okay, and these aren't going to be too bad. Tomorrow I've got a big packet for us to really hammer on, but um, we have to start somewhere, right? All right. So eight more than a number, and let's do about six together, and then you do the last nine and pause the video. Okay. All right. So eight more than a number. So here's my number, and there's eight more, n plus eight. The difference we're going to subtract between a a number and 5. Now, difference, we have to be careful because subtraction is not commutative. The difference between a number, n, and 5. 19 added to a number. I'm going to add 19 to a number. Okay? And these are just all expressions, right? Number 4, 6 less than n. If I have n, I'm going to take 6 less than it, right? Now, you can use any variable you want. Since it was an n or a number, unless it tells you that letter, I use n, right? The difference of 10 and q. Difference. Subtract the difference of 10 and q. 19 added to j. Well, I'm going to add 19 to j. Is it all right if you flip it? Well, you would get the same answer, but write what you read, okay? Okay, now at this point, I'd like for you to pause the video and do these last 9 and then check your fire with me, okay? All right. K less 7. K less 7. So I have K, but I'm going to less 7. Less tells us to subtract. 12 less than P, right? 12 less than P. So I have P and I want 12 less is P minus 12. The sum of G and 11. The sum tells us to add, right? Sum of G and 11. That's it. Uh-oh, here's a new word, product. Product's telling us to multiply, right? Of 9 and n. So the best way to write that is 9n. We don't want to do that, and we certainly don't want to do those two, right? We don't want an x, because now x is a variable. We want to write it as a coefficient and a variable, okay? Q times 12. Times tells us to multiply. 12q. Right? Twice a number, n. Twice a number, n. Twice tells us to multiply. Twice a number, n, is 2n. All right, let's finish it up. It looks like we have a division row coming up. So we have divided, quotient, and divided. So divided, k divided by 10. All right, now we can write this a couple different ways. I can write it as k divided by 10, k divided by 10, right? Or I could actually write it like this, k divided by 10. All of those are acceptable. The best way, I think, is that way, though, right? As a fraction. The quotient of x and 6. Quotient, x and 6. X divided by 6. 9 divided by c. Okay, now be careful here. 9 divided by c, or 9 divided by c. Okay. So sometimes I need to write it this way before I get it in my fraction form. Okay. So I hope all that made sense. A lot of synonyms there, a lot of vocab. Let's flip the page here and see what we're going to get into. All righty. Each of the cards on the left has a verbal description that represents an algebraic expression on the right. Find the matching expression to complete it. So again, I would like for you to pause the video and try 1 through 5 on your own. All right, let's go. So card A, twice a number and 5. Card A, twice a number and 5. Now we're getting into multiple steps here, aren't we? So to double a number, it's going to be multiplied by 2, and 5 means to add. So I think letter G is twice a number and 5. So letter G works there. A and G are the same. B, 5 less than twice a number. So twice a number means to multiply it. 5 less is we're going to subtract 5. So we need, it looks like they're using variable of x, 2x minus 5. And that looks like letter I. Twice a number less than 5. So that's an I. C, the quotient of twice a number and 5. Ooh. C, the quotient's going to be, so we know we have to have division in there, right? So we do. So the quotient of twice a number, so that tells us to multiply, and 5. So it looks like J. Well, that's the only division one, so that's kind of giving it away. But the quotient, there's our divided sign, twice a number and 5. So we're going to divide those two. So it is letter J, right? So that was kind of a tough one, right? D, 2 times the sum of a number and 5. 2 times the sum of a number and 5. So when I look at this, and actually I could get rid of this because I'm done, and let's get rid of what we don't have. All right, so one more time. Letter D, 2 times the sum of a number and 5. Well, I know if it's sum, it's adding. It has to be this. And what they're saying is 2 times the sum of this. So they want you to add first and then multiply it by 2. So that's going to be letter F, right? And then the last one is self-explanatory, but 5 less twice a number. 5 less twice a number is letter H. Those can get tricky. So you want to take your time. If you're just checking that, I'll give you a minute. And you're going to see why we're taking multiple days on this, because could have problems with this down the line, right? All right. So let's continue on here. Down to the bottom piece. All right. It says, use your knowledge of algebraic and verbal representations to complete the table below. Okay. So what we're going to do sometimes is take the algebra and then we're going to write the expression, and then we're going to tell you if it's an equation or if it's an expression. Let's get into this thing. So I see 9, right? 9 times, I guess you could call it a number or times R, is equals 45, right? So 9 times is means equals is 45. Now, since this has an equal, we're going to say this is an equation. Now, what is an equation? An equation just has 2 equal sides. So 9 times R would be 5 here is 45, and that is 45, right? Okay. 1/3 the sum of 11 and P. 1/3 the sum of 11 and P. All right, so to me, there is no equal, so let's get rid of this. This is an expression, right? I don't see anything that represents an is or anything that's telling me to write equals. Now, 1/3 the sum of 11 and P. So this tells me the sum, I'm going to add these two together. So I have 11 and P. Now, I want 1/3 of the sum. So what I have to do is I have to add parentheses there. Okay, so I have 1/3 of the sum, and we would distribute that through. Next one, 5 minus b. Well, there's a lot of different ways to write it, right? You could say 5 minus b. I would say what? To me, it's b less than 5. Okay, less than 5. So b less than 5. And this is certainly an expression. Okay. Okay. So let's take a look at the next one. And these get tricky, don't they? 32 is, so that tells me it's an equation. So let's get rid of that right now. 32 is equal to half of G. 32 is equal to half of G. So there's a lot of different ways to write this. I'm going to write it as this. 32 is, that's what I'm reading, equal to half of G. So I could write it that way, or I could say 0.5 G. That would work as well, okay? And again, it's an equation. We have an equal. Both sides are equal. Let's hit the next one. 2 times 5/10 minus 6. I don't see anything that's telling me an equal, so I'm going to write an expression. Okay. 2 times 5/10 minus 6. So it says 2 times 5/10. So I'm going to multiply those two together. So it's 2 times 5/10, right? And then just finish it out, minus 6. Okay. All right, last one. 4W equals 18. That's an equation, EQUATION. Let's get that out of the way. And now let's write our verbal representation. How could we write this? So we could use the word product because we have multiplication. How about the product? How about the product of 4 and W is 18? Is 18. And there's certainly more than one way to write that, okay? So, starting to get a little bit more entwined here, isn't it? All right, very good. Very good. All right, last piece. Let's take a look at this. 4 students write algebraic expressions and equations on their whiteboard. Which student wrote the expression? Okay, or I guess which student or students. So there could be more than one, right? Well, so anything really isn't, so which students wrote expressions? So we're looking for one that doesn't have an is. Well, that's not an expression. That tells me that's an equation. So Alejandro isn't. But this is certainly one. That's an expression. There's no equal. 5 increased by 0.5 plus D. I don't see a word is there for equals. That is one. Bridget, and certainly Drew is one. There's no equals there. So Jeremy, Bridget, and Drew. Okay. So this is probably still a little foggy for you, but that's okay. We're going to spend tomorrow on it. What I want you to do right now is flip the page and take your time and go through lesson 7 homework. Okay. Still have con done, and you're seeing how things are really starting to speed up, and the rigor of the material is getting more difficult. Okay. Have a good day.